Well, it looks like we got someone else in their Long Island Devil Ray jersey. This time it's Shane Sullivan. And when I had Kane on, I was starting to get people from the team want to come on, and Shane was first in line. So here we are. And what a week to pick you guys to have you on, because you got a special thing coming up in a few days, November 10th. But I first brought you on because obviously it was quite a season for the Long Island Rays. And tell us what your role was in the championship season.
So for the championship season, I was a two-way this season, which was nice. I just started basically pitching. I was basically playing shortstop, utility guy, threw a good amount of innings this year, about 20. I think I actually led the league in ERA, which was nice, but, had a great group of guys. Our pitching staff was lights out. I don't think we let up more than 3 runs a game, and the bats were, they always delivered. So, that's why I think we finished 25-2. We had a really good group of guys. I always try to contribute as much as I could, whether it was in the batter's box or on the mound. So we all just basically clicked. It was fun.
I know the championship game that Kane was telling me was a little nerve-wracking because it did go down to the wire, didn't it, that final game?
Yes, it did. We were cruising. It was like 2-0. And then when we got to the last inning, things got a little dicey. A couple errors and walks kind of started to hurt us. And, they started figuring it out. But thankfully, our first baseman, Ryan Brewer, made a, beautiful diving play down the line and, really secured that game. If that went by him, I don't even know where that game would have headed. So thankfully,
we were talking about it, right? You don't know if that would be, we'd be talking about that right now.
We didn't want to find out. It was better off that he made the play and stepped on the bag, and then we started celebrating. So that was really cool.
Well, let's talk about this. So you guys are going down this event on Thursday, November 10th, which means this team doesn't stop when summer's over, huh?
No, we don't stop. Chris formed a team in the fall. We do have a Devil Rays team in the Stan Musial League. For this team, we've been, scrimmaging the Black Sox every Wednesday to kind of help us prepare. I know they, I think, just went down to Arizona for a tournament.
Jimmy Rose loves that trip. I know he loves to go and play in Arizona, actually.
Yeah, hopefully we can cross that off our bucket list. That sounds like a cool trip. We want to see what we can do in Florida. And then, if we do well, we don't know where else we're going to go. We want to keep competing and, face good competition.
All right. So you've obviously got this thing coming up. Tell us what it is exactly. Cause I saw it on Instagram and I'm like, let me follow up and see what's going on here.
So from my understanding, cause he basically just gathered a bunch, half of the guys are basically from the summer team and the Nassau Bucks led by Andrew Kahn. They wanted to form a team together, get a good amount of guys and, have a really strong force when we go down to Florida. So it's a merge between the Nassau Bucks and the Devil Rays. We also have other guys from around the country that Chris and Andrew have connections through. So I think there's guys from Seattle, Chicago. So we're going to have a really good, really good lineup. The interesting thing about this tournament, I believe it's 2 different lineups kind of. You can have a defensive lineup and an offensive lineup. So that gives a lot more guys opportunities to play, which is nice. So
no, I'm not naive. When I talk to you, I basically talk to Long Island Devil Ray community. So can they come watch you guys? Can they stream the game? Like what's the availability to watch you guys play this?
I don't think the stream is through the tournament. I know that Andrew Kahn likes to set up his own streaming system. So he's going to get that kind of in order. And, hopefully there's a link that everyone can watch our games. I know that there's some people that want to watch. I know it's going to be good baseball. So definitely going to be a good watch.
What's the importance of fall ball? Because I feel like for anybody, any level, right? That is so important to keep it fresh. It's amazing. They just had the Arizona Fall League All-Star game last night. I mean, these guys like to stay fresh, and I'm sure you guys are no exception either.
No, we're not. And, it's kind of we're a victim of Northeast baseball where we don't have the privilege of the Southern players where, you can't play year round. We're kind of weather permitting, you know how cold it gets in the fall and the early spring. So, any type of baseball we can still play where it's not, too cold. We're all very competitive guys and we love to play. It's kind of important to hone in your skills and, you don't want to be sitting kind of idle for a long time or else, you're not as sharp.
Well, I know that Kane went to Mercy College, which was right on the water. Tough to play in there in the spring. Where did you go to college?
I am directly on the water. I'm actually still going to Maritime College, right underneath the Neck Bridge. I'm actually doing technically my 6th year. So I'm excited about that, but we are literally directly on the water and the wind chill is no joke. I'll say that. Doesn't start getting bearable. What was that?
What year are you there?
I'm going to be a sixth year. Technically, I'm finishing up grad school. My first season was in 2018. Started off as a right fielder, transitioned to shortstop, and then started off as a reliever, and now I'm a starting pitcher.
I know.
So
I
I've
know.
had
We
an
were talking about
interesting
pitching
journey.
because I thought what a perfect time to have you on after that no hitter by a few Astros pitchers, second time, and
Mm-hmm.
then of course this one in the World Series. So and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking with Kane. Well, he does more than that. I'm like, but let's talk about the pitching for a minute. Look, this World Series was intense, and
Mm-hmm.
to flip the coin on the Phillies, you're Zach Wheeler. You're pitching a great game. You get taken out by Thompson. I mean, that was really the big flaw of the series for them, wasn't it? That takeout right there.
That was a little bit of a controversial move. It's hard to, it's easy to go back and be like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done that. There's a lot of heat in the moment decisions you got to kind of make, and analytics and statistics have become such a huge part of the game. I can't say exactly why he made the move. I would have stuck with my guy, but yeah, those little things kind of end up kind of biting you a little. But it was a great series, regardless.
Absolutely. And by the way, they just declined the option for Segura, so he's a free agent. That's breaking news as we talk.
Wow.
Kind
I
of
didn't
surprising.
know that.
Yeah, it just came down the Bleacher Report wire. Kind of surprising. But that being said, who do you try and emulate, or who do you look up to in baseball? Like what's the guy or multiple players that you look up to?
This might be a little biased because I guess, considered a two-way. I've always loved Shohei Ohtani. I think he's such an inspiration to kind of, he's someone that just hasn't been doing, no one's ever done what he's done, to kind of like break the boundaries and kind of, push the expectations of what a baseball player can do. That's also very inspiring. Now that, I just started kind of picking up pitching, I've been, looking at pitchers. So, I'm a Met fan. I love DeGrom, his mechanics and whatnot. I would probably say my top two guys are Ohtani and DeGrom. I like to emulate their playing styles.
Well, the fact that Ohtani can hit like 30 homers and then throw, double or more strikeouts in the season is ridiculous to me.
I don't think people understand how hard that feat is, unless you actually play baseball and understand the game. To excel on both sides of the diamond is, almost unheard of.
And as a pitcher, protecting the elbow is why hitting is sort of frowned upon as pitchers, right?
Yeah, and also, it kind of, he's also a lefty, so his pitching arm is exposed the most. If he was a righty, it wouldn't be as much of a concern, but you got to make sure that his wing is always protected, and you don't want him to be out for a hit by pitch or whatnot.
Right.
So,
but that swing, he does the most ferocious swing I've seen in a baseball player. Like, that swing is ridiculous.
He generates a lot of power, which is why, he can put up the home runs and, hit for average, and he has a speed, he's a unicorn, basically.
Yeah.
It's
all right.
crazy.
Well, and we'll see where he goes. I think he's going to stay in LA, but there are a lot of
I think right before I hopped on the call, I think the Angels just decided that they're not opting to trade him. So he'll be staying in Anaheim.
Which is kind of tough. I think he and Trout are getting a bad rap there because of the non-talent around them, it seems like. I don't know.
It really hurts to see two, generational talents kind of, you don't want to say wasted because you still get to see them, but, you want to see them in the big moments in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And, you want to see them be able to fight for a World Series ring. And, they haven't really put the pieces together to kind of build that team yet. Hopefully maybe 2-3 years down the line, they can, compete in the postseason. So, fingers crossed, hopefully they can make the right moves.
Let's talk about the no-hitter, though, because obviously, that was something to watch. And it's just amazing that Philly went cold that quick after their 5-home run barrage, right? But It happens, and they get a no-hitter. The Astros pitching was the real deal this year, wasn't it?
It definitely was. They were consistent. I mean, Lance McCullers had that, a little bit of an off night, and, who would have thought the Phillies would have got no hit after the game 3 they had. I think they had 5 home runs off of McCullers, and, there was a little debate about if he was tipping pitches or whatnot. But, to go from that to that, it just kind of shows you how, how baseball is. Any night you got to come up and be ready to play. Just because you played well the first couple games doesn't mean anything for the rest. You can't take it for granted.
I know that some of your guys have been at the show, so to speak. They've been in minor league organizations. And does that presence on the Devil Rays help lead the team, if you will?
I would agree with that. Yeah. I believe so. Yeah.
Because I know there was, I think Chris was in the minors at one point, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I actually didn't know. Me and Chris, we just kind of recently met in the summer.
Okay.
And, as I can keep playing with these guys, I've been learning their backgrounds, the level of baseball they played. For me, I'm a D3 guy, but some of the guys on that team, come from legit D1 programs, and they've, faced some really good competition and played in the Cape Cod. Ray Weber was a great pitcher for us in the summer, and he got onto the MLB draft league, and, he made some noise, look good. So, I've been kind of just picking up stuff from them. They're very knowledgeable, and
I didn't ask Kane this, but is there a difference between your college bowl and these guys? Because you guys, they're sort of the same age range if you think about it. Some of these guys also, they're a little older on the Stan Musial League circuit. Mm-hmm. However, the camaraderie is still there, right? From college, is there a big difference? Is there a little difference?
The competitive nature doesn't really leave a lot of guys. They always maintain that, and a lot of guys they kind of miss college ball, obviously, and you like to keep that same level of mm-hmm. intensity. And that's a common thing with the Stan Musial League, is everyone kind of has that. There are some leagues out there that kind of exist that that competitive nature isn't as apparent and prominent. So that's one thing I'd love to say about the Stan Musial League, is it's always been competitive, and it's fun to show up. Everyone loves to play a good game.
And that also, about being at the All-Star game, is that your first time as a Devil Ray at Duck Stadium? I mean, that's an experience, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Duck Stadium in general, first time with the Devil Rays. That was my first season. I didn't know most of the guys. The team's been around since 2020. I kind of hopped on late. And, ever since the first game, I kind of just clicked with the guys. They were very easy to get along with, which is why I think we had such a good team chemistry. And we were able to play so well this season, is because everyone got along with each other. There wasn't selfish baseball. There wasn't a lot of egos on the team, which I think can kind of, cloud a team's success sometimes. So I think the team chemistry is a big thing when it comes to the success in baseball.
I agree. I think that losing Tatis Jr. wasn't the worst thing in the world for the Padres. I think that kind of messed up their culture with them there.
I think so, and, he was getting a lot of the spotlight and whatnot. And then, when that all came out, I think they kind of realized, like, hey, we gotta still do this. We can't be relying on him or anything like that. So I think they kind of realized, like, hey, we got to stick together and figure it out. I think it was almost like a good thing, kind of like, when the Braves won it all, Acuna got injured early on, and, Acuna was their guy. But when he was out, it was like, okay, like, it kind of puts a little fire on the teams behind, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Talking with Shane Sullivan now. This is great to talk to you, because I love catching up with guys in the game and the guys who have played it. So how competitive is this going to be this week? Like how competitive are you guys going to be?
Apparently the level of competition is going to be very good. There's a lot of guys on these other teams that I've heard that have, recently either on 40-man rosters were in the minor league system playing indie ball. These are all guys that have, are playing baseball at a high level past college. So, this isn't, your recreational league. Like, these guys are ready to play, ready to win. So, we just got to give them our A game and, compete as well as we do up here, so it's going to be interesting to see that level of competition. I'm definitely excited about that.
I got to get someone at the door, I think. Hang on 1 second.
No problem.
I'm on my radio show because I do this. Just because it's easier. Anyway,
okay, got you.
So that's cool to know. And I guess if people want to travel, they're invited to travel down there, right?
Yeah. I don't think some tournaments are an invite basis. I think this one was more of a, kind of a sign up, but, it wasn't exactly cheap. So, these teams aren't going to just, go down there just to go down there. Like, we're paying to play competitive baseball. And I think that's what we're going to get down there. Weather permitting, I heard there's going to be a storm making its way down in Florida this week. So I'm hoping it kind of dodges us and we can play, we can play baseball this week. So that would be a bit of a bummer.
All right. If there was one favorite moment you have this whole season, championship aside, what could it be? What stands out to you as you said, this was the first year with the team?
Wow. To single out a single moment. I'd have to say it was probably just the playoff series leading up to the championship. You know how playoff baseball is. It's just a different atmosphere. Every game kind of means a little more. Everyone was kind of just a little more locked in. We had a really good game against the Falcons, who was in our first series. And we actually lost game one after only losing one game in the regular season. And, to go from that and then lose the first game of a playoff series where, next game's elimination, it really puts a little pressure on you. But, we were able to figure it out. And, we all kind of, we didn't get ahead of ourselves, kind of just stuck to our same approach during the season. I think we got a little too tense in the game one and, maybe a little complacent, but that one loss kind of humbled us a little, if you know what I mean.
All right. I gotta ask you this, having Kane at the top of your lineup seems to have worked all season, right? So how did you like the makeup of the lineup too, as well?
Chris really knows what he's doing. Kane definitely was a spark plug at the beginning of the lineup. He was a guy that not only could get on base, but, if the bottom of the lineup was getting on and the lineup turned over, he was a guy that could drive runs in. He was, advancing bases. He was really, setting up guys behind him to get in scoring position and, drive him in. So, the lineup was always, we were always feeding off those guys. If the start of the lineup was struggling a little, the end of the lineup was able to make up for it and vice versa. So, we never really went completely dead with the bats, which was nice. The lineup always had a good flow. Chris knew how to kind of structure it well. So it was very balanced and well-rounded.
All right, you say you're a two-way, so tell me about the hitting part of it, because we've covered your pitching. What was it like to hit? And is this speed a little different for you than maybe the college level?
The college level, it was obviously competitive no matter what division you play in. But when you don't see pitching for a while, especially, some pretty good off-speed stuff, it could be, slightly rattling at first, but, you tend to settle in a little. The hitting part, I mean, there's definitely some good arms in this league. Off the top of my head, I know Christian Luke was playing a little in some independent ball. He was a really good pitcher in the league, always kept us on our toes. Falcaro, we had a lot of good guys on our team. Thankfully, I didn't have to face them. But, seeing those level of arms, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into with the men's league, and the level of competition really surprised me. So, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. But, transitioning from, playing the field and going out on the mound, not exactly easy sometimes, but it's nice to see both sides of the game, if you know what I mean.
All right. Now, I know you don't face your own Devil Ray team, but I know there's a bunch of different Devil Rays out there. So is there some intramural or intra-Devil Ray matchups because of the divisional chain, placements, if you will?
There are some guys that we had to face that played on other teams or whatnot. Jake McCarty played on the Black Sox. He was I actually faced him before the All-Star game. He was on the Black Sox, and let's just say he was a bit of a tough out. It's a lot harder to face guys that know your arsenal and kind of know your repertoire a little. You kind of have to attack them different. I'd be lying if I didn't, if I said I wasn't pitching around him a little. That's a guy that you can't leave a pitch down the middle on. But in terms of hitting, some guys on my team like Teddy Rodliff, disgusting stuff. I haven't been able to face him, but definitely want to. Ray Weber, Brian Herman, Stony Brook. We got a lot of good arms that I'm hoping I can, face them in the box one day.
All right, let me ask you about what you do off the field. Obviously, you're a human being, so you do more than just play ball. What do you do exactly? Like, what else do you do off the field?
So I went to Maritime College, which not a lot of people really know about. It's gotten a little more recognition as of late, but it's basically a merchant marine school. So, a lot of people that go to the college are in the regiment, which is a branch of the Coast Guard. They basically go to get their Coast Guard license and work on a commercial vessel. So I was in the regiment, but I decided that I wanted to do business. So that was an interesting part of my college career, a lot of structure and discipline, but wanted to get my master's. It's currently doing that now online. Got to get another season out of it last year, which was nice. But now working full time, doing ocean brokerage, which I don't think not a lot of people also know of. Basically, ocean brokerage is we clear goods that come to the U.S. so that they can distribute throughout the U.S. and
very involved with the supply chain situation. Then it sounds like, right?
Yeah, no, it's all supply chain. There's a lot of different legs of the supply chain that that are involved in basically getting goods on all the shelves and stores and e-commerce that everyone shops at now. E-commerce has become such a big thing where everyone's shopping online and whatnot, but no one really knows what's kind of going on behind the scenes. So, I'm in the industry where we're kind of just organizing that and coordinating it so that, we can get goods to your door in these warehouse stores and whatnot. So it's a section of business that not a lot of people are kind of aware of, but it's an interesting industry. Let's just I'll say that.
Well, a lot of these guys sometimes want to take their talents from the Musial League back to, say, independent ball with the Long Island Ducks and whatnot, and there's sort of a pipeline there. But what's your projection? Do you project yourself staying in the game of baseball outside of Stan Musial, or is this kind of your sort of, not a hobby, but it's what you like to do when you're not doing the full-time gig?
So when the season ended last year, it was supposed to be, my quote unquote last year. And I was actually I got an opportunity to play in the Pecos League, which, I wasn't really aware of, but gained knowledge after I was talking to one of the coaches, and he invited me to a tryout. Unfortunately, I kind of tweaked my hip and I wasn't really able to go down for the tryout and had to kind of put it on the back burner. But luckily enough, I got another year of eligibility this year. I'm going to be a starting pitcher again. And, I'm kind of just trying to hone my skills a little, get my velo up a little, and, really learn the game of pitching a little more. So this is going to be kind of my season to kind of see what trajectory that kind of goes. I did have the Ducks in the back of my mind and, had intentions of trying out with them in, I think, April or May. So that's potentially something I would like to do down the road. It's just, pitching is very new to me. So there's a lot of things to learn, especially.
Wait till they throw a pitch head on you. Then it'll be a real challenge, right?
Yep. So
do you find that in college ball? Did they put a pitch count on you in college, or not so much?
No, actually not at all. I had one game this year where I went 10 innings against the Merchant Marine Academy. But I only threw 108 pitches, which wasn't, too bad. When you hear 10 innings, it's like, oh God, now how many pitches did he throw? But thankfully I was a little efficient. So, it's kind of coach's discretion, especially when you play on the water and it's very cold. Your arm's not as loose and, as you would if you were down south and whatnot.
Because you guys start early. I mean, they start in March when it's still cold as ever out there.
Oh,
right?
we start like mid to late February. It's either baseball heaven or if there's no snow on our fields, we can play at home. But it's pretty brutal out there. I've pitched with 2 layers of Under Armour on, and you really got to do your best to stay warm.
Who's your coach over there?
Charlie Barbieri.
It sounds familiar, actually, but
yeah, no, he coached at Storm for a while. He's kind of been all over the island. Really, really great guy, knowledgeable coach. This is going to be my 6th season with him. We've had a great relationship. He has a great relationship with his players. I think it's a little hard for him to recruit because our school is so, specialized, and, it's not your typical school, I guess. But he's really turned this program around, and Maritime's been getting a lot better recruits and getting a lot more recognition. So he's been doing a great job over there. We have 2 D1 transfers this year, so he's been able to kind of gather a lot more talent than we've had in previous years, and he knows what he's doing.
I was going to say I think he knows what he's doing if he's bringing D1 transfers over. That's kind of a big deal. Anytime a school of sort of a lesser division gets those big D1 transfers. I mean, Queens College got Burrell from St. John's, so that's a credit to Chris Reardon, who coaches now at Queens. He was at Caldwell, but he's been quite the recruiter. They won the ECC championship last year against, Malloy, which was great. As someone who's been part of that whole thing, that was awesome. But I've got to ask you this: speaking of small world, baseball is small in Long Island. So when you first joined Stan Musial, did you even know guys that you didn't even know played the game still?
When I first joined this team, it was like a clean slate for me. The nice thing about playing baseball on the island is you can make a lot of connections, and you're always kind of running into guys that you used to play with when you were younger and whatnot. And with social media nowadays, you can kind of track the progress of how they're doing at their schools. So for me, I didn't really know any of the guys, but when I first joined on, it was really easy to make friends with them and learn the level of baseball that they played at. And for you, I know you're over at Queens. I used to play with Julian Arcos. We went to Chaminade together. And Lou Antos also was our third baseman this year. And they're
Lou Antos.
too...
When I saw his name on the roster and I heard it, I'm like, hey, I announced Lou at Queens College. How about that?
Uh-huh.
So
You know, it was
I
probably a
love the
privilege to watch and watch him because, you know, playing with him, he was a hell of a ball player.
well, maybe you'll come back for a recap. Maybe I'll have both you and Kane on to recap the trip for us. How about that?
Sounds good. Sounds good. You just let us know. You know, we're always down to talk baseball.
Oh man, there's so much to do because this offseason is going to be crazy. You guys have a lot to say, I'm sure, on the major league front as well. Rizzo's officially a free agent as we talk. There's some breaking news there. It's that time of season, right? I mean, here we go.
Yeah, you know, and it's exciting. It's an exciting part of the year because you get to see these guys kind of, you know, make moves. It kind of, you know, spices up the league a little. You know, I don't know where a lot of these guys are going to be headed, but, you know, while we don't have baseball, you know, the only thing we really have until spring training happens is, you know, see all these acquisitions and all these trades happen, which, you know, keeps things exciting. So
this is going to be a hotter than hot stove winter. I just feel it.
I think
and
it's
at
going to
least
be
we have the
very
Giants
hot.
and Jets to keep us company. They're actually doing well this year, so we'll see what happens there.
I didn't think that would happen. You know,
Nope.
Unfortunately, you know, I'm a Jet fan, and of course the Giants have to do a little better than us this year. But you know, to see both teams do well is great, and you know, we got to see that this season with baseball. You know, the Yankees and the Mets were killing it, and you know, it's great. It's great when you know, your team in your city is doing well and excelling.
Now, one last thing: are you doing fall ball with Maritime as well as Stan Musial, or?
I'm actually technically not eligible for this year. So I was using the Stan Musial League and the little scrimmage league that we had with the Black Sox in order to kind of just stay fresh and, you know, just keep playing ball. Maritime actually does. Now we do a fall ball game against Queens. This is our second year. I started against Queens last year, which was interesting. You know, it's always nice to kind of play a division up and, you know, kind of face better competition just to kind of see where your guys are at, you know, let them get a taste of, you know, a little more competitive baseball and, you know, kind of see where we're at as a team. And then that winter and, you know, leading up to the season is where we kind of hone our skills and need to, you know, figure out where we need to get at. Well,
tell me when that game is, because I might drop by now that you mentioned it. Did it happen already or no?
I believe, it happened about 3 weeks ago. It takes place at Maritime, so Queens comes to us. So you know, I'm interested to see what they thought of our field and, you know, how we played against them. The games for the most part have been competitive. I was at the doubleheader, even though, you know, I couldn't play. I was just supporting the guys, and, you know, to see us do well, and, you know, Queens was definitely hitting the ball. We have a very short right fields because we have a Navy base out in right, so. Let's just say Queens was taking advantage of the of the
wind and everything else, right?
The wind,
you were a baseball kid all along, right? So you grew up in this sport.
Oh yeah, no, baseball. You know, dabbled in other sports just to, you know, keep the good athleticism going. But baseball's always been my number one.
Love it. So did Aaron Judge. He dabbled in a lot of sports before he decided that swinging the bat was his thing. And boy, is it his thing or what? I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I think he picked the right sport. You know, I mean, he probably could have, you know, killed it at football just from his sheer size.
His height, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I think being able to play other sports is such an important part of success in baseball because, you know, you can, you know, hone all your baseball skills and whatnot, but there are a lot of intangible things that you can pick up from other sports that you can implement into your, you know, your baseball game and kind of improve your level as a player. So I always kind of, you know, encourage people to, you know, expand their boundaries and try other sports. And
the discouragement of that drives me crazy. I don't understand why they want everybody in their own little box. It's not good for the kids' health either. I'll tell you that much. So we'll cover that. But one last thing. Did the Astros winning mean we can move on from this last 5 years of disaster against them? I feel like now we know they can win. Let's just beat them at their own game next year. That's what I say.
I think so. You know, they've been consistently good the past 5-6 years. You know, I was rooting for the Phillies. You know, it kind of hurt that you know, they couldn't pull it together, unfortunately. You know, I mean, they had to face a really talented team. You know, I hate to say, you know, everyone's kind of giving them, you know what, for the whole scandal, and I think it was 2017, right? So I would like to see, you know, other teams kind of take it and give them a run for their money.
I also say let's move on from that because they won naturally now. We know they can do it. Fine. Let's beat them at their own game. That's kind of what I say at that.
Exactly. You know, you don't want one team kind of dominating the sport all the time. You know, you kind of want everyone to, you know, it's nice to see
As
other
a fan
teams
base
win,
that we love
especially when
watching
you're.
the Yanks win it 4 times, but that was special 4 times in
Yeah.
5 years. But
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely a hard feat, how baseball goes. It's
yeah,
very unpredictable. Things can go either way. So for a team to kind of consistently be able to produce and win, it's it's a testament to them, the coaching, their mentality. It's a long
Dusty
season. You got
Baker,
to really
man,
be.
gotta love his managerial. Finally getting the ring. So
I
with
know.
that, Shane, thanks for joining the Sports Spotlight, and we will have you on again very soon. And have fun in Florida this week.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. I'm Alex Garrett, and this has been Alex Garrett's Sports Spotlight.
Take care.
That was awesome, man. Thank you so much. Oh, he's out.